Hi, I'm Kenny Porter, President and CEO of Kenneth Porter & Company. I want to thank you today for joining me on this webinar, and we're going to have a great conversation being able to help you understand the wealth creation process. You know, most people in life have the same financial desires. Those desires sometimes are clogged up by our financial processes or products. And what we want to help you understand is how to move from the desire that you have financially and get you to the position of where you want to be, both in your pre-retirement, retirement, and distribution phase of life. So let's jump right in and let's talk about these desires for a few minutes. You know, as we see it, in over 27 years of being in this business, what I have seen is that most people have a desire for long-term wealth. They have a desire to minimize and mitigate their taxes. You know, when risks come along, most people want to reduce or minimize their financial risk while having the maximum potential for financial reward. And as it relates to income, don't you agree that most people want to have the maximum income in their retirement phase, not the minimum? And then from a legacy point of view, we see that most people want to have a lasting legacy. And this legacy is not necessarily leaving the maximum wealth to those left behind. It's you being able to create a legacy along the way where you get the opportunity to enjoy it with your family, to create those philanthropic desires that you may have, but also have the ability to have the maximum wealth that you get to enjoy over your lifetime, but also leave a meaningful stamp on life that may also include your assets, but also have the opportunity to include just your position in life. And, you know, I use this example sometimes that if you go to a wake or you go to a funeral service, you don't ever see someone pull out that person who's passed. You don't see them pull out their financial statement. You don't see them pull out a 401k statement or talk about all the accumulation of products that they had over their lifetime. What you hear is about their journey and how that journey impacted the lives of others. You know, and it takes money to go through that financial journey, and that's an area that we can help you with. So we want to jump right in today and help you understand how to move these desires in your life to an efficient and effective wealth creation phase. But here's what happens. As we make financial decisions over our lifetime, they typically happen one at a time. They happen maybe with one or two individuals who may not know what's going on in that other portion of your life or going on in that other phase of your life. So you end up making financial decisions one-off with multiple people and at different times, and it ends up happening under different circumstances. And what that creates is what we refer to, and as you see on this picture here, is a junk drawer mentality. Now, I'm going to be really transparent with you. I have one of these junk drawers at home. Okay, I have a number of these junk drawers at home. And what happens with these drawers is that it ends up accumulating all of these things that I've had over my life, and I'm not sure quite where they go, so I put them into these drawers and I'll get to them later, I'll deal with them later, and put them in their proper place. Well, that ends up happening in our financial life, and we refer to that as a financial junk drawer mentality. What we want to do is figure out a way how to mitigate and minimize these junk drawers in your life because they create disorganization. They create uncoordinated products that are non-integrated, become inefficient and ineffective, and they're hard to manage over your wealth creation phase. So if we can create an environment that changes that for where it's in your benefit and not the benefit of others, that would be a great place to be. Don't you agree? So let's take a look at how this happens. Well, this happens with 4 identifying rules. And these rules that we have to do with financial institutions and financial advisors or financial professionals. Now, I'm not saying that these people in life are bad. I'm saying that the rules that they use in this macroeconomic system that we live in can create problems for you over your financial life. So let's look at these 4 rules. Number 1, financial institutions want your money. Number two, they want it on a regular and ongoing basis. And they want to hold on to it for as long as possible. And guess what? When you want some money back, how much do you think the financial institutions want to give you back? You're right. They want to give you back as little as possible. And so these rules work really well for banks, credit unions, insurance companies, mutual fund companies, mortgage companies. They have the same basic rules, which is number one, they want your money. They want it on a regular and ongoing basis. They want to hold on to it for as long as possible. And then when you want some back, they only want to give you back as little as possible. So what we want to create is a way to mitigate and minimize those risks and how it can hurt you over your lifetime. Along with those four rules are what we call the wealth eroding factors. Now, these wealth eroding factors include taxes, and taxes from income taxes to state taxes to sales taxes. Taxes can be the greatest eroding factor to your wealth over your lifetime. What if we could only come to a plan where we pay our fair share? Not more, not less. So create an environment of where we can minimize tax over your lifetime. The next thing that we see after taxes that becomes an eroding factor to your wealth is market fluctuations. Market fluctuations are one of the greatest eroding factors to your wealth next to taxes. And you've probably experienced that through this period that we've lived through here in the last 3 months of 2020. And so it's hopefully something that you can understand how to mitigate and minimize those through a financial strategy that we will teach you in using the process of our wealth creation system that I'll share with you in just a few minutes. The next eroding factor of your wealth is inflation. We like to refer to inflation as the stealth tax. It's one of those things that kind of sneaks up on you in life, and you don't really realize it's there until you have a purchasing power issue. Let me give you a personal example of this. Years ago, I was coaching soccer with some young kids and coaching my kids' soccer team early in life. And we, after each practice, would give out snacks and drinks to basically carb the kids back up again. And you know, I used to give out about 4 Oreo cookies to this team of 12. And here's what would happen. On this team of 12, each one of them obviously would get 4 cookies. So that's a total of 48 Oreo cookies. Well, one day in a rush, I go to the store and I get a pack of these Oreo cookies. And I show up to practice with the juice boxes. I got 12 juice boxes. I got 12 kids, so no problem. I've got my 48 Oreo cookies, or so I thought. Well, here's what happened. I show up to practice, give the kids their cookies at the end of practice. And as I get to the last kid, I realize they don't have any cookies. Because you see, I'd given out all the cookies to the first 11 kids, and this last child ended up getting shorted. It's because the pack only had 36 cookies in it now. But the packaging looked very similar. But what had happened is that the manufacturer of these cookies had changed the packaging, reduced the amount of contents, but gave me the idea or the perception that I had 48 cookies. Now, if I'd have looked closely at the small print, I would have seen that there were only 36 cookies in there. So my mom used to say, Kenny, the large print giveth, and the small print taketh away. And so what we want to help you understand today is that from all of these eroding factors, look at the large print, know how they benefit you, but also understand the small print and how these things can erode your factor. Another small print that we may see sometimes is tax law changes. You know, I've been in this business 27 years, and in 27 years in this business, I can tell you that I've seen probably one major tax law change each year that I've been in the financial services industry. So taxes, along with law changes, along with inflation and market fluctuations, can just start eroding away at your overall rate of return. We want to try to figure out how we minimize these things. Another eroding factor is something no one ever wants to talk about, and that's getting sued. Lawsuits can be an eroding factor to your wealth. So we have to have strategy in place to mitigate and minimize the eroding factor of lawsuits in our life. Another thing that comes up, technological changes. How many of you 25 years ago were walking around with a smartphone? Much less, how many of you were walking around 25 years ago with a cell phone? But what's interesting is that most people on our planet today have a smart device or at least a cell phone. How many of us budgeted in our plan and even in our retirement plan for the cost of having the smartphone? Now, in other areas, costs may have dropped, but what we see along the way is that technological change can create additional costs and additional expenses to our wealth, and we need to plan for that. There can be these unexpected life events that come along. And those are the things that can erode wealth along with taxes, market fluctuations. How many of us planned in 2020 to be sequestered at home because of a virus? COVID-19 has affected all of us to where even today, instead of me presenting this to you live in a library or at a restaurant, now I'm coming to you today from a pre-recorded event where you have the opportunity to look at this information in the comfort of your home. Well, months past, years past, we did these types of events live. So what happens is unexpected life events have come along, and either we adapt to those and overcome, or those become eroding factors to our wealth. So hopefully you get value from this today and understand how it can benefit you right from the comfort of your home, and how we can help you move from where you are to where you want to be in your financial strategy or plan. In today's environment, it's important to understand how fees and consumer expenses can erode your future wealth. And in today, we live in an environment where your advisors and those trusted advisors you're working with should be giving you full disclosure of how they get paid and how those consumer expenses or the expenses or operating expenses in your investments can erode or bring down the rate of return that you have. And so it's important to understand how those become an eroding factor to your wealth and be able to verify the expenses that you have along the way. One of the things that we see over life and the clients that we've worked with for 27 years is that most people want to have the ability to have a pay raise in life and have an increased standard of living as they move forward over their life's journey in what we would refer to as the KP 121 rule. I'll explain that in another webinar at another day, but it's giving you the opportunity to verify how you can increase your wealth over your lifetime and not have that become an eroding factor to your life. The last one we'll talk about today is planned obsolescence. Planned obsolescence are those things like, computers, and things that wear out over your time. We have to plan for these things to be replaced over time. And it's important to understand that if we don't, those can also erode our wealth. So here's simply put, it's not good enough to just have a financial product in your life. The financial product is necessary, but what we believe is more necessary than a financial product is the process itself. Creating a process of wealth creation to build wealth successfully over your lifetime. Let me give you an example of this. Years ago, there was this great golfer. His name was Tiger Woods. Now, Tiger Woods is still arguably one of the best golfers in my life and has been proven to be one of the golfers of a lifetime. If God came to you today and he said, "Sir or ma'am, I'd like to give you an opportunity to win at this greatest tournament on earth called the Masters. And if you could go to the Masters today and God said, I'm going to give you the choice between Tiger Woods' golf swing or Tiger Woods' golf clubs, which would you choose?" You're right. I think you would choose Tiger Woods' golf swing. Not that Tiger Woods' golf clubs aren't important, but what we have found that's most important is that the ability to swing like Tiger gives us the greatest potential to win at that financial or that golf tournament that we would refer to from a financial point of view as having the best financial swing possible. And that's what we want to talk about from a process-oriented approach. It's not a product. It's not a rate of return necessarily. You can't do it with one single strategy, no more than Tiger could be expected to show up to a golf tournament with one club. Now, he would probably beat me in a golf game of golf with one club. But if we look at it at the competitors that he has to deal with, he would show up with golf clubs, but an efficient swing or process to create the opportunity to win or have the optimum chance of winning. And it's not just a plan. Thinking again with that strategy of having Tiger Woods' golf swing, I have the best opportunity to win if I have Tiger's swing, even if I have inefficient golf clubs. But if Tiger Woods was playing with my golf clubs and I was playing with his swing and we switched roles, I've got a better opportunity at winning than he does. And that's what we want to look at, is focus on process over financial product to create strategy and solution that you can maximize wealth, minimize cost, and have the opportunity to see that happen and play out over your financial life. How does that happen? We use a financial game board. And this game board is necessary to understand how these rules and eroding factors show up for you in a verifiable way. That game board also comes next to what are the rules that we have to play by on this financial game board. And the rules apply to everyone in their financial plan. So it's important for you to understand the game board in which you're playing on, the rule book by which you have to play by, and then also having someone that understands this at a mastery level. That's what we would refer to as a macro strategist. Now, I've been a macro strategist working with my clients for over 27 years. And what I've been able to help my clients understand is how to use this game board. And this game board we use is a proprietary system called LEAP. LEAP stands for Lifetime Economic Acceleration Process. It's an acronym that helps us understand this financial game board to learn truly how financial products work for you and I in our financial process. We learn how these can be coordinated with each other to maximize your rates of return, maximize your efficiency, maximize effectiveness, but minimize all of those eroding factors that I talked about in the previous screen. It gives us the ability to measure performance. It gives us the ability to compare the financial decisions, to take the sales hype off the table and actually set side by side what happens in a financial process when we make a decision to see which is most efficient for us along our financial journey. And it allows us to eliminate errors and omissions that maybe unknowingly and unwillingly show up inside of our plan. So the rule book. This rule book gives us the ability to learn effective money strategies. It gives us the ability to see how we can better protect our wealth from the eroding factors. It gives us the ability to build wealth more efficiently and do it in a way that we have the verifiable system in place to see how it can increase our retirement income strategies over our lifetime. And then at the end, as we had talked about, it gives us the opportunity to maximize our legacy, not minimize it. Imagine this. Imagine you were showing up to a symphony, and at the symphony, there were only musicians, but there was no conductor. And without a conductor, some of these musicians may show up without their instruments. They may not know where to sit on stage. So they would just be randomly seated, each with maybe a different sheet of music. And then no one to conduct them. That's what it is to work without a macro strategist. Now, you see, how many symphonies have you ever been to where there wasn't a conductor there bringing together this beautiful sound of an orchestra playing together? And the benefits of having a financial macro strategist is that it helps us better conduct our financial symphony, increasing our chances at succeeding financially. So we put ourselves in the position as a macro strategist. And as a macro strategist, we want to bring together the ability to conduct the symphony in a way where you can verify how, where, when, and why these financial strategies and plans come together for your benefit, not the benefit of institutions or your micro strategists or micro advisors. We do this on our game board of protection, savings, and growth. So if we take a look at our screen here, on the protection board, this is made up of our assets made up of our protection components that simply protect our assets, like car insurance, homeowners, and liability insurance. Then we have two-dimensional protectors, which are disability insurance, medical, government plans. Those only do two things for us. They protect our assets and they protect our income. And then the three-dimensional assets of protection are wills and trusts, trust and ownership agreements, and life insurance. Those protect assets, income, and our life. In our next game board, we'll see that there is a savings component. But as we use these protection components first before we get to the savings, the protection components are designed to reduce risk, protect assets, protect your income, and protect your economic human life value, and protect against the importance of growing your wealth with minimizing the cost along the way and maximizing the coverage without maximizing your financial cost. The idea that I've had before is that if insurance was free, if risk management was free, how much insurance would a person own? And what I've found to be true in asking that question of folks over the years is that if insurance had no cost, we would all own the maximum. What ends up happening is that it's not free. And so how do we mitigate and minimize the cost to have the maximum protection ability? The concept I use here is, as an Irish kid, I think back to medieval times. And in medieval times, kings would put massive castles on the top of hills. And much like the mountain that you see behind me here in this picture, they would build these massive castles, and then they would put massive moats around these castles. And then inside these moats were the most venomous, ugly, nastiest creatures possible, from alligators to piranhas. And those were simply put there to deter their enemies from wanting to even try to traverse that moat. But they would go even a step further. They would put or take the trees and any vegetation around their castle and mow it down for miles and miles so that they could see their enemies approaching at all directions. And then typically there was one way into the castle. And in this castle entrance was a sentry, was a porter. Now, porters, the surname that I have today, simply means that we were working class people who had the awesome responsibility of guarding the king's castle, of guarding the gate. You're the king, it's your castle. We take very seriously creating an environment where we can protect and help you grow that wealth. But we want to show you the maximum strategies to minimize the eroding factors against your savings and growth. That's what's inside the castle. So let's go look inside the castle. Inside the castle is your savings components. And on this part of the game board, that's everything from your checking, savings, and credit union accounts. Those create safety for you. And then inside savings bonds, CDs, and money markets, those provide safety and yield. These are designed to improve yields and minimize taxes along the way and help you manage and reduce your risk. As you go right and down through this game board, your potential for yield goes up. Your potential for risk also increases. And in many cases, your liquidity goes down. So from S7, S8, S9, as you see on the screen here, these provide safety, yield, and tax benefits. And so from the savings components, we want to create the maximum savings components possible, but make sure we put that moat around your financial castle. Moving on to the next portion of our game board in the PS&G model is the growth component. And our growth components, again, these are designed to create an opportunity for increased rate of return. They're designed to provide tax benefits, provide income over your lifetime, and manage or reduce the financial risk along the way, And if we look at this from a model point of view, again, as you go left and down through our model, they're designed for your growth potential to go up. You also have risk potential that goes up and liquidity that goes down. And so understanding how this game board works, understanding how the rules work in your benefit, and also the disadvantages that can work against you is important. But within this model, you have a number of different financial professionals that you have to work with along the way. These financial professionals could be made up of your tax advisor, a real estate agent, banker, life and health agent, legal advisor, your money manager. Now, all of these are what we refer to as financial professionals or micro advisors. Most of our financial consultants offer advice independent one of another. And how often in your lifetime have you had all of these financial professionals in the room together, helping you make financial decisions, coordinating all of those decisions on one financial strategy or one piece of paper? We help you do that. We come next to you as that conductor or that macro strategist that helps you make these financial decisions with all of these other micro advisors. Now, in some cases, we fill the capacity of some of these micro strategists by how we're licensed and how we advise our clients. And we have full disclosure in that to you when you're having a conversation with us in one of our consultations. How does this happen? How do you have these conversations with us? It happens in a 5-step process. If you work with us today and you decide at the end of this webinar you'd like to learn more about our game board, you'd like to learn more about the LEAP model process and system that we use within our firm, we would take you, number one, through the discovery phase. The discovery phase is where we understand the problems that are going on in your life, understanding the desire that you have. And as those desires meet problems, how can we help you understand how to identify in phase 2 what's necessary to mitigate or minimize those financial problems? And everyone's problems are different. And what we want to show you is a verifiable solution in phase 2 using this financial model to understand how using this model can help you move from where you are financially to where you want to be in a very verifiable process. Stage 3, we allow you to visualize where it is you want to be and then reverse engineer from there a verifiable process in getting from where you are to where it is you want to be, and looking along the way to see how money strategies will affect your financial decisions. Step 4, or phase 4, is the implementation phase. In implementation, this is where you decide the actions to take that will improve your current financial position and how you can verify that. And then in stage 5 is what we call the achieve phase. In the achieve phase, this is where you see the increase in efficiency and effectiveness of the use of your money properly aligned using the 4 rules for how they benefit you and using the rule book of financial life and how it benefits you over your distribution phase or even over your life's phase. So in our working relationship, how does this work? Well, you typically would pay fees, commissions, there would be servicing questions, there would be review questions, and then there would be this thing called introduction. So let's deal with these one at a time. In the world of fees, when you're dealing with financial advisors in different capacities, there's a potential that you would pay a fee for working with that advisor. And in some cases, in our firm here at Kenneth Porter and Company, there would be a potential for you to pay a financial fee. We disclose that to you up front. You can leave your checkbook at home. We're not going to ask you to write a check up front. What we're going to do is help you work through this discovery phase, step 1, to understand whether or not if we're a good fit to work together. And if we find that we're a good fit to work together, there may be an opportunity where we would charge you a fee versus earning a commission, or in some cases, there may be actually a commission that's paid. And in either case, we're going to do full disclosure. We're going to do what's in your best interest. And we're going to do that up front so that you can verify along the way how we affect your bottom line. And that's important, I think, in any relationship that you have with any trusted advisor or any person that you deal with that will have some control over your money, is to understand the cause and effect of fees and commissions. No one's doing this for you for free, including us. And so it's important to understand early in that relationship how that works with each advisor that you're working with, and have full disclosure. We practice that here at Kenneth Porter and Company, and we actually do it in writing for you so that there's no surprises and no unknowns in your mind. And that happens in the discovery phase, in meeting one or visit one with us. Along the way, once we onboard you, once you become a client of ours, we will take you through a service phase somewhere after year 1, year 2, year 3 in this relationship with us. We want to make sure that we do our best to provide the services that you want, and we do that systematically. So each year, at a minimum, we want to have a conversation with you. We want to update your financial game board and get a real-life snapshot of where you're at, and to see if there's any changes along the way that need to be made to help you maximize your wealth potential of your life's journey. So that's where we step in from a service and review point of view. That's a common practice within our firm, that we help you at least on an annual basis to work through this distribution phase, and working through that as an accumulator to the distribution phase to understand the service and review process that we use with you. The last way that we would potentially get compensated is what I call a client's act of goodwill. Now, in a client's act of goodwill, this is where we would say that there may be an opportunity for you to introduce us to people that you think would benefit from our services. And if that be the case, we will treat them with knit gloves the same way we treated you. And we will do that in a way with honor and respect and dignity in those introductions that you would make to us. And again, we refer to that as your act of goodwill in helping us grow our business exponentially through sharing the way we've helped you identify and maximize those wealth strategies and tools that can be used to benefit you over your lifetime. So, this conversation we've had today, you're probably thinking, well, Kenny, what's the next steps? I see this, it has intrigued me. It's probably a little different than what you've heard in the past. So how do we get in touch with you? At the end of this webinar and at the end of this video, you'll find at this follow-up page and at the bottom of this page, there'll be an opportunity for you to share your information with us. And as you share this information with us, we really need a good email, and maybe even some contact information. Your first and last name would be helpful. And so completing that form for us to reach out to you, and you'll share with us on that form how you would like us to reach out to you. It could be in the form of making a phone call. It could be over a Zoom video conference call, or having the opportunity to meet with me one-on-one here in my office in Virginia Beach, Virginia. So if you happen to live on the West Coast, or you happen to live even in the western part of our state, and you go, Kenny, that's a little far to drive to come have a conversation with you, we can do that from the comfort of your home or office via teleconferencing or video conferencing. So we want to make this as easy and as painless as possible for you, so that you have the opportunity to understand more in depth how we can help you get from where you are financially to where you want to be, putting those financial rules in your favor, not in the favor of the financial institutions. So my request of you today would be to give us a shot at showing you our financial process and how we can help you. And you know, I heard this a long time ago, and I agree with it. You can never get a second opinion from the first person that gave it to you. So we ask that even if you have a planner that you're working with, or advisors that you're working with that have given you financial information, or maybe have implemented financial products or services with you, we ask that you give us a shot at giving you a second opinion to see in our financial model if it was the most efficient and effective thing for you to do for your wealth strategy. And if so, keep on that path. Use it efficiently and effectively for your wealth over your lifetime. But if change is necessary, wouldn't you want to know? And it brings me back to this thought process that if what you knew today turned out not to be true tomorrow, wouldn't you want to know as quickly as possible? And our model helps you know that from a financial point of view in a verifiable way. And we look forward to having the opportunity to share with you verifiably how we can help you do that. Hey, thanks so much for joining me today. I hope this time was valuable for you. And if you really want to give us an opportunity to just share with you without any strings attached and without there any cost, please take us up on our free consultation, and we will promise to do our best to help you get from where you are to where you want to be. Thank you again. God bless you. Be safe out there.